Good evening. Welcome back to Precious Flicks Entertainment TV. My name is Victoria and you are watching News Update of today. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has given an emotional speech to MEPs from Kyiv calling for his country to join the European Union. Appearing over video link as the Russian army continues its assault, Zelensky called on Europe to prove that it supported his country by allowing it to join the EU. We are fighting for our rights, for our freedoms, and now we're fighting for survival. We are also fighting to be equal members of Europe, Zelensky said. To prove that you are with us. To prove that you will not let us go. To prove that you are indeed Europeans. And then, life will win over death and light will win over darkness. Glory be to Ukraine. Zelensky was speaking just days after European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told Euronews that Ukraine is one of us and we want them in the European Union. It came as Brussels announced that it was sending weapons to the country, banning Russian-backed media and blocking Russian planes from European airspace. But although Zelensky has called for immediate recognition, the process of accession could take some time. In the case of other nations, including Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria and North Macedonia, it has taken years. Charles Michel, president of the European Council, said there were different opinions and sensitivities among EU members on Kyiv's accession. Membership is a long-standing request from Ukraine, said Michel. But there are different opinions and sensitivities within the EU on enlargement. Ukraine will submit an official request. The European Commission will have to express an official opinion and the Council will decide. Zelensky's speech came amid an extraordinary session at the European Parliament in Brussels to discuss the latest developments in Ukraine. During the debate, MEPs will vote on a resolution condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. They will also vote on a resolution to move towards granting EU candidate country status to Ukraine. Now the question is, what's really behind Putin's invasion of Ukraine? Europe woke up on Thursday to the news that Russian troops had advanced into Ukraine, as Vladimir Putin warned the international community that intervening would lead to consequences you have never seen. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky declared martial law, broke off diplomatic relations with Russia, and said that Ukraine had a 1 million-strong army ready to defend the country. He called on the international community to prepare an anti-Putin front to force Russia out of Ukraine. European Union leaders will meet in Brussels later this evening after European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen promised severe sanctions on Russia. U.S. President Joe Biden, who warned of a possible invasion for weeks, said he was meeting G7 leaders later on Thursday. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland agreed to hold consultations under NATO's Article 4, which members of the alliance can do when they feel the territorial integrity or political independence of an ally is threatened, even when the ally is not a NATO member. Putin has claimed that the invasion is intended to defend the populations of the occupied territories in the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, which claimed independence in 2014. On Monday, Putin formally recognized the independence of the two territories. Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs Dmytro Kuleba said on Thursday morning that this is not a Russian invasion only in the east of Ukraine, but a full-scale attack from multiple directions. But it was on Monday that Putin appeared to give an insight into his own beliefs about Ukraine and its links with Russia and the Soviet Union. Now, our fans out there, let me ask this question, because many people don't know what reason happened. What does Putin think about Ukraine? He claimed that Ukraine, an independent state of 44 million people and Europe's largest country, was an artificial invention created by the Bolsheviks after the 1917 Russian Revolution. Modern Ukraine was entirely created by Russia, he said. Lenin and his associates severed what is historically Russian land. Historians and experts on Eastern Europe branded it incoherent. It was illogical, revisionist hodgepodge, said Tom Junes, a historian at the Polish Academy of Sciences. Junes said the speech was an apparent attempt to further scare Ukrainians. Did the Soviet Union invent Ukraine? Ukrainians argue that the origins of their state dates from a millennia before anyone had even heard of the Bolsheviks. back to the Kievan Rus and the acceptance of Christianity by Prince Volodymyr in 988. Mikhailo Hrushevsky, the Ukrainian historian, has traced a clear thread between that state and those that eventually followed, such as the Hetmanate in the 17th century, and the Cossack kingdoms, said David Marples, a professor of Russian and East European history at the University of Alberta. Ukrainian language and culture were suppressed in later periods prior to 1917, such as when Ukraine was under the yoke of Poland and Tsarist Russia. Ukrainian language and culture were suppressed in later periods prior to 1917, such as when Ukraine was under the yoke of Poland and Tsarist Russia. But contrary to Putin's claims, there were few Bolsheviks in Ukraine in 1917, and the period from 1918 to 1920, after the withdrawal of the German army, was one of total chaos. There were about 8 different governments before the Bolsheviks were able to occupy it. Even then, they established the capital at Kharkiv, because Kiev was not secure, Marples said. There were about 8 different governments before the Bolsheviks were able to occupy it. Even then, they established the capital at Kharkiv, because Kiev was not secure, Marples said. That is the news update.